The last room at the end, it was September, and the rainy season had come to Quang Ninh. Hung, a 27-year-old welder from Ngaian, had just started a new job at a shipbuilding factory by the Chan River. He was assigned to a temporary workers' housing area deep behind a mangrove grove, right near the riverbank. The housing consisted of a few rows of rundown level 4 concrete rooms. Only 3 rooms were occupied now. Hung's room was at the far end, damp, cracked, and filled with the musty scent of mildew. He hesitated, but the rent was cheap. When the landlady, Mrs. Men, handed him the key, she leaned in and whispered, "If you hear knocking at night, don't open the door too quickly." She didn't explain further, just gave him a strange look and walked away. The first knock that first night, Hung struggled to sleep. Crickets chirped, rainwater dripped through the roof, and the distant river waves whispered outside his window. At exactly 1:13 a.m., he suddenly heard a soft knock. Knock, knock, knock. Hung sat up. He held his breath, listening. Maybe someone was knocking by mistake. He crept toward the door and peeked through the wooden slats. No one was there. Minutes passed. Then it came again, slower, heavier this time. Knock, knock, knock. His hand trembled. "Who's there?" No reply. After a while, Hung returned to bed, pulling the blanket over his head, heart pounding. The man in the raincoat. On the second night, it rained hard. Thunder cracked and echoed through the sky. Hung woke up to the sound of footsteps crunching gravel outside. Then came the knock again. Knock, knock, knock. He couldn't stay still. Slowly, he opened the door a crack. Under the flickering hallway light stood a tall man in a black raincoat and wide-brimmed hat, his back turned. "Sir? Who are you looking for?" Hung called. The man slowly turned around. He had no face, just a void, an empty darkness where a face should be. In that split second, lightning flashed, and the man vanished. Hung slammed the door shut. His body was soaked in cold sweat. The old woman's tale. The next morning, Hung confronted Mrs. Men. She looked pale, avoiding his eyes. 4 years ago, she began, a welder named Quinn fell into the hull of a ship during a stormy night. They searched for 3 days but found nothing. Then, his body washed up behind this housing block. No family claimed him. No one dared bury him. She paused, her voice shaking. Ever since then, every night, someone hears him knocking, looking for someone to open the door and take his place. 3 knocks, she added. The third night is the warning. If you open the door, you never return. The final night. Hung wanted to quit, but the foreman refused. Too many workers had left. That night, Hung stayed awake, clutching a metal bar, eyes fixed on the door. He'd drawn a talisman that Mrs. Men had given him and stuck it on the wall. 1:13 a.m. The knock came, louder than ever. Knock, knock, knock. Then a voice, deep and cold, slithered through the gap. "Open the door. It's cold, so cold." Suddenly, the door burst open, even though it had been locked. A black figure slithered in through the crack. Its face was wet and bloated, its body dripping mud. It stared at Hung with hollow eye sockets, then let out a scream like wind through an empty hull. The lights went out. Everything went black. Hung screamed once, then silence. An empty room, and the knocking returns. The next morning, Mrs. Men found the door to Hung's room wide open. Inside, there was no trace of him, just a puddle of black water, reeking of rot. His belongings were untouched. Hung had vanished, as if he had never existed. The room was locked up. No one dared rent it again. But workers in the next room said that every night, at exactly 1:13 a.m., they still heard, knock, knock, knock. Open the door, I'm cold. And those who stayed in the rooms nearby too long either stopped sleeping, went mad, or disappeared completely.